Hey guys, it's Squall, and this is part 15 of Everlasting Summer. Yeah. Semyon, thank you very much. For what? The camp leader gave me a friendly smile. Why is he so forgetful? For the cake, of course. Sure. It was at that exact moment that I understood the true meaning of the saying, keep your thanks to feed your cat. Okay. You didn't tell anybody? This ought to be a surprise. Yeah. That's my boy. And off you go to dinner. Olga Dmitrievna waved her hand, pointing at the canteen. Oh, that's nice of her. I stepped through the doorway slowly and started looking for a free place. It turned out there were plenty today, so I got the chance to eat all alone. There was fish with mashed potatoes for dinner. But misfortune once again. I'll be left half hungry. Just eat the damn fish. And didn't we have fish for lunch? Well, now you're having it for dinner. Is it a fish-only day today? Maybe it's Friday in Lent or something, I don't know. Did you just fall asleep? Having pushed my plate with the fried sea dweller away, I laid my head on my hands and closed my eyes. But soon somebody came up to the table. Hey, are you alright? I'm fine, I replied without changing my position. Just tired? Yeah, a little. That's bad. Slavia said it seriously. Of course. You remember that we are going for the hike after dinner, don't you? Have you prepared anything? Everything? What? Where? I opened my eyes and lifted my head up instantly. Lena was standing by Slavia. The hike? She was surprised. Didn't you know? No. I put my head down on the table and covered it with my hands. If only I could sink into the ground right away. The girls remained silent. I was left alone with my thoughts for some time, and that was fine by me. Maybe I could have sat that way until the end of dinner time, but the strong voice of Olga Dmitrievna was heard from the opposite end of the canteen. Guys, to celebrate the miraculous rescue of our friend and comrade Shurik, we baked this cake for you all. I lifted my head idly and looked towards the camp leader, but couldn't see anything beyond the pioneers' backs. Just a second, and nothing about me. Nothing about me rescuing Shurik or gathering the ingredients for the cake. As if that's how it ought to be. Well, it would be wrong to expect anything else from our camp leader. Let's go, or we won't get our share. Slavia smiled. Let's go, Lena agreed. Yeah, sure. I got up reluctantly and tagged along behind the girls. As we approached the crowd of pioneers, Olga Dmitrievna was just putting the cake in the center of the table. And now? The camp leader wasn't able to finish as Uliana rushed out from the pioneer crowd and dived into the cake. She managed to nibble it a few times before she was pulled away. She was kicking and screaming. I stared blankly from the outside at all this drama. Elisa smiling, Lena picking up some cream with her finger, all the furious pioneers around. I felt completely out of place here. I thought that if I closed my eyes now and opened them again, here I am, back to the safety of my apartment in front of a computer. I blinked but nothing changed, only the noise and the confusion became sharper. Uliana, that's the limit. I just... Well, in fact, behaving like this is a bit over the top, even for her. Shirk broke into the conversation, or is it a court-martial? Please, Olga Dmitrievna, since the cake is celebrating my return, it's no big deal. He hesitated. It doesn't matter. The camp leader turned to Uliana. And you? Today I'm going to punish you to the fullest extent, so you'll behave next time. Whatever. She snorted and turned back. You won't be going on the hike with us tonight. As if I wanted to. I was more than willing to switch places with Uliana and skip the hike instead of her, but who knew? If I had guessed beforehand, I'd have been the first one to go berserk and smash the damn cake. After a couple of minutes of confusion, the pioneers started to disperse. You have to get ready too. There'll be a lineup at the square in half an hour. I looked straight into the eyes of the camp leader, trying to express my attitude non-verbally, but it seems that I failed. Don't be late. Uliana was sitting at the table when I approached her on my way to the exit. So why did you do it? She looked very upset, but she had right to be so. I wanted to, Uliana replied abruptly. So you're happy now? Of course I am. And you? Good luck with the hiking. She smiled mischievously, sprang up, and rushed out of the canteen. Well, a little bit of luck wouldn't hurt. Walk and you shall reach. It was exactly this proverb that kept whirling in my head all the way down to the camp leader's cabin. Somehow I just couldn't manage to argue, to pretend that I'm sick, or to just skip it without a reason. The events of this day taught me submissiveness, although sometimes what was happening made no sense to me. As I walked in, I had a thought. Well, in fact, how should I get ready? Clothes? I only have an overcoat and a pair of jeans. Anyway, I forgot to ask whether it's going to be an overnight hike or not. I couldn't think of anything better, so I grabbed the sweater that I had on me when I arrived at the camp. The night might be fairly chilly, and shuffled slowly off to the square. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga Dmitrievna had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. And viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of a sheer habit, like they were awaiting a silent command from the bronze Genda. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand and screaming attack as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charge into the battle against some ghostly enemy. But Olga Dmitrievna showed up and started to talk instead of Genda. It seems everybody is here. Great. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up just listening to the camp leader. Now, today we'll go hiking. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in the hour of need, saving them from a hopeless situation. We have to learn to do all these things together. A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that most probably this truly epic expedition would end in a cleaning in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. Excuse me, a clearing in the forest. Somehow I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs. So if you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet, now's the right time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga Dmitrievna. Lena was with Miku. Electronic was of course with Shirk. Well, it might not be a bad idea to go alone after all. Semyon. The voice of the camp leader pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. I see that you haven't found a partner. Seems like it. Then you'll join Xenia. She's alone too. I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. So it appears that I'm left with the prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple of hours with, even if I was paid for it. Although we both seem to be in the same boat now. I slowly approached Xenia. Well, I guess we'll be going together. She looked up at me. Don't you even think that I'm glad? Said Xenia seriously. Why on earth should you feel glad? I asked naively. Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up. I couldn't get any better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. I still haven't seen any special reason to walk in Paris. Anyway, we were walking on the well-trodden forest trails and it would be quite difficult to get lost here even if I wanted to. Moreover, while we'd already been hiking for half an hour, we weren't rushing into the depths of the forest trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits, but instead we were just walking in circles. However, if we take into account that Olga Dmitrievna was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. Just as Xenia insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it. Hey, don't you know when we'll reach our destination? What? The place where we'll settle down and set up camp. The whole point of this hike isn't to set up a camp but the hiking itself. You don't get it. Yeah, it seems that I didn't understand a thing about hiking. Yes, you're right, but still. I don't know. She replied sharply and quickened her pace. I caught up with her and asked, Listen, why are you always so... I was about to say mean, but stopped short. I haven't done anything bad to you and I'm not going to. She glared at me in surprise. Always so what? Well, unsociable. Kind of. Or is it something about me? Oh, cut that stupidity out already. As you wish. I decided not to start a conversation with her for the rest of the hike. At last, Olga Dmitrievna decided to end this Sisyphean toil. It's time to halt. The place chosen turned out to be a quite large glade with a few tree chunks laid in half circle to make an improvised abode, with the remains of a campfire in the middle. Obviously, such hikes are a tradition of this camp. I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take long because there were a lot of branches and logs of various sizes lying around. Eventually, Olga Dmitrievna lit the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but couldn't discern anything other than Soviet symbols. Pioneers took their places on the fallen log benches and started to talk about things. It seems that the final goal of this event had been achieved. The only thing missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminum cups of vodka, and a guitar. But I wouldn't be surprised if all these would appear somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavia sat next to me. Nothing special. Just enjoying the hike. I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not about to jump for joy. Sorry about that. Okay. I won't disturb you. She sat with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood of talking, she left me to enjoy my introspection all alone. and all I wished for was to lie down in bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being surrounded by smoke and the useless chatter of pioneers around me instead. They were cheering and laughing in general and enjoying this warm summer evening. In the far side of the glade, I noticed that Lena was arguing with Alisa intensely, and Lena seemed like complete opposites to me. Slavia had left to go somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Electronic and Shurek were trying furiously to prove something to Olga Dmitrievna. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. Only Lena and Alisa stood out in all this splendor. Well, of course, it was quite natural for Alisa to be arguing with someone like that. But hearing Lena talk in a raised voice, I came closer silently, trying to find out what was going on. Oh dear. No, you listen to me. I'm not going to listen to anything. Really? Great then. Alisa turned away and her eyes met mine. At first she obviously was confused about what was going on, but then... So you're eavesdropping. Hey, that's the main theme. What? Me? No. She began slowly advancing on me, and I took a few steps back. Lena, however, remained standing where she was. Well, okay then. Listen. Alisa stopped halfway and turned back to Lena. By the way, did you know he was peeping on me today? Ooh. What? Is that true? Lena wrung her hands distressfully, gave me a quick glance and started staring at the ground, as if she was cut off from the world. No, nothing like that happened. Having thrown an angry glance at Alisa, I came up to Lena. Why are you denying it? I even have a witness. Your witness is even worse than you. So, you'll stick to your claim that it didn't happen? I took a second to think. But really, why do I have such a pathological desire to exonerate myself before Lena? As though I vitally need it. Need her opinion of me to remain unchanged. Though how would I know what she's thinking? It didn't happen! Lena threw a baleful look at Alisa and raised her eyes to me right after that, eyes full of discomfort and hope. It suddenly became unbearable to stare into these eyes. It didn't happen, I repeated less confidently. Well, whatever. Alisa sneered from behind me. It's up to you to decide who to trust, she said to Lena offhandedly, then turned away and headed to the bonfire. Is that true? I felt uncomfortable, like a fish out of water, feeling the urge to end this as fast as possible. And why should I have to excuse myself to her? Well, so what if it did happen? I looked at Lena boldly, but noticed only a bright sunset gleam reflected in a tear which was going down her cheek. No, I meant, you don't need to lie. She wiped off her tears and tried to smile. After all, it's none of my business. No, why isn't it? But why is it? It's just that it was an accident. Get it? An accident which was caused by Uliana, nothing more. Yeah, sure. It's true. I believe you. Lena was saying everything with absolutely no emotion, like she didn't care at all about what was going on. I was almost able to believe it, but her tears a few seconds ago. Seems to be that you don't. What is this? Some kind of game? Lena said quietly, but there was a hint of anger in her tone. You really need to convince me of that? Even if I believed you, what then? Would it all become true? I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just want you to understand that I'm not guilty and didn't want to. Why should I care at all? Lena shouted. I was standing with my back to the bonfire, but I was sure that all the pioneers had turned in our direction. If you want to peep at someone, do it. Do whatever you want. But why do you bother me? I'm not. But really, from any point of view, it looked that way. I'm trying to excuse myself to Lena with no success. Like a guilty child, or maybe even like a husband who'd slipped up. Just so you know, I don't care. Lena turned away and headed back to the camp at a fast walk. I didn't try to stop her. Now it certainly wasn't the best solution. She's on the edge. No attempts to convince her or appeal to reason would help. Since when is she like that? Screaming that way, getting mad. With these thoughts in mind, I returned to the bonfire and sat down on a wooden log. So, Elisa asked after sitting herself nearby. What? Not a great success, huh? As you see, I growled out while picking at the coals with a stick. It grew completely dark and the glade was plunged into darkness. The surrounding landscape was reminiscent of a picture from a child's book about a wood monster. An unknown forest creature is just about to spring up from behind a tree. Predatory owls hoot menacingly in tree branches. Even mice looking out from the snags stare at you with distrust. I was not afraid at that moment. Everything was different from the previous day when I was in the dungeon at the old camp. The moon was shining brightly, paying close attention to our brave troop. The world was sleeping, waiting for the morning, bathing in the moonlight. As I thought, though it was expected. But why? I finally managed to pick up the largest burning log and throw it into the center of the fire, causing the flames to rise up about a meter high and a vortex of sparks to spread out in all directions. Does Lena often behave like that? How? Screaming at others. I couldn't believe she would act in such a way. She is human, like anyone else. Elisa giggled. As if you hadn't noticed this before. What hadn't I noticed? Her. What do you mean? I mean this is her true face. What do you mean, true face? Oh, you're so stupid. Finish what you started. She's not what she seems like. Not like how you thought of her before. So how is she? Okay, I'm sick of this. Elisa stood up, intending to leave. I didn't say anything, just sat and listened to the silence of the forest. By the way, if you want to follow her, I think she's on the island. On what island? The one where you were gathering strawberries today. And what is she doing there? Oh, you really are an idiot. Lisa stomped the ground, circled the campfire, and sat opposite. I must have really lost track of things. My head was absolutely blank. To be precise, it was so heavy and full that not even a single idea would have had the chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway... You know what? I'm not gonna read all that. I tried to think over what had happened, analyze it somehow, but it seemed I was bashing against an invisible wall. Moreover, it was impossible for me to find a single emotion in my soul, any response, as if it had all happened to someone else. I failed to convince Lena that I'm not guilty. Should I care? Lena cried, screamed, and then left. So what? I don't feel anything about it. Should I? I bit my lip until it bled and stood up. I couldn't bear to stay here among these laughing pioneers. I should run away. It doesn't matter where to the forest, to the mine, even to space. I don't care, just as long as I can get far away from here. I seized the moment when the camp leader was looking in the other direction and vanished into the forest shadows. There had been no rain for a long time. However, I'm not sure whether it rains here at all. What a stupid idea, of course it does, the plants need some moisture. The night was fresher than the afternoon, but the air still hadn't had enough time to cool. I felt a little dizzy from the evening stuffiness. Suddenly I realized that I really wanted to swim. It's quite a normal desire because the days are hot and you constantly feel soaked with sweat during the daytime. I didn't even notice that I'd been approaching the pier. Why not the beach? Thoughts of Lena came over me again. Everything that I tried to ignore came out and brought lots of inconvenient questions, inappropriate answers, and vague desires. It was obvious that I had been led to the pier by my subconscious. But what do I really want? To apologize to her for something, to convince her of something? No, unlikely. I just wanted to get some sort of reaction from her. Wanted her to say, yes, I understand everything, and just smile. And then I could stop myself from feeling like that. It was necessary for me to be understood by someone, even in this world. I untied a boat, pushed it into the water, got in, and took up the paddles. It was easier to row this time. My hands were still hurting, but I managed to develop some sort of technique that allowed me to travel quite directly. The river seemed frozen, spreading under the boat like a translucent veil. The moonlight was piercing deep into the water, so it was almost impossible to see the bottom. I started rowing. Surprisingly, the island now seemed the same as it did in the daytime. Here usually everything is different. After dusk it felt like another world, a mystery world. Scary at times, but beautiful in its own way. A world of shadows and whispers, a nocturnal world. I slowly walked around the island, looking for the boat which Slana took to came here. The grass softly rustled under my feet. The occasional waves peacefully struck the shore and bounced back like flies too tired from beating on the glass. The breeze from the water lazily stirred the leaves of the trees, out of habit rather than a real desire to make the night grove sing. I looked at this wonderful picture with such delight that I didn't even notice something until I stumbled into it. It was a boat. Well, of course, she wouldn't get here by swimming. I headed towards the center of the island. After 100 meters, I heard a rustling from behind a tree. "Don't come any closer," Lena whispered. I hesitated. "Don't come any closer," she said louder. "How did you know it's me?" Though she hadn't indicated that she'd known that. "All right." I leaned against the tree, trying not to look behind it. "Elisa told me that you would be here." "So what?" It was difficult for me to know what emotions Lena was experiencing. Her voice was steady enough, even though I could read irritation and annoyance in it. I could not understand whether she was angry or whether it was all the same to her. That came out awkward. I was doing my best to avoid unnecessary apologies and excuses, but couldn't find other words to use instead. "Was that the only reason you came?" "No. Well, I don't know." "You don't know, but you still came?" "Yes." "You shouldn't have." "Why? Of course, if I'm bothering you." "Why are you following me?" She was right. It certainly looked that way. Moreover, I definitely felt attracted to her. "You shouldn't think like this." "How should I think?" "I don't know. I can only draw conclusions based on your behavior." "I really don't know. I guess I'd better go." I was confused, and it was hard just to be near her. Why? Since you came. I seemed to hear a playful tone in her voice. Alright. And? What? What did Elisa tell you? Nothing special. I see. Yeah. Well then. Yeah. We just stayed silent for a while. Since you came, tell me about something. Well, I don't know. For example, about what happened this morning. What about what happened this morning? You know, you yourself didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to, but now I want to. Lena's voice trembled. I couldn't understand what was happening at all anymore. Maybe it's not her behind the tree? Don't look. Okay, but what's wrong? Nothing, just don't look. Right as you wish. Nothing happened? Well, something did, but that was all just a silly accident. And why are you so worried about what I think about it? I'm not worried. And anyway, you yourself, I said louder, beginning to feel irritated. What about me? Why are you so concerned about this situation? Who said that I'm concerned about this situation? Then what? Nothing, she said in a whisper and fell silent. Such talk would lead us into nowhere. Lena wouldn't say anything, and I seemed to be too stupid to guess or even just to be sure about myself. Sorry, I guess it's all my fault. I just can't understand. Why? What? Why do you keep apologizing for everything, for what you did, for what you're doing, even for what you haven't done yet? But maybe she was right. But I couldn't behave differently. I felt the need to apologize to her, to everyone. Said he would not think badly of me, wouldn't laugh at me, so I can put away something unsaid and eliminate misunderstandings. Anyway, that's your business. Lena got angry. Apologize, makes excuses, why should I care? Okay, well, I'm not guilty. In fact, I don't think I could be blamed for anything, but then what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Why would something be wrong with me? I don't know, I just think so. Oh, you just think so? She laughed. You speak as if you know me. I didn't answer. Please leave, Lena said after a while. I didn't move. Just could not. I had no strength to do so. I wanted nothing at that point, didn't want to excuse myself, to apologize. I didn't even want her understanding. I was too tired of everything. Why? Just leave, she whispered. I don't want to. And I'll leave. Let's just go together. No. How long are you going to be offended? By what? What's wrong with you? Everyone here behaves normally except you. I didn't care what my words meant, as if they had been said by someone else and the topic of conversation meant nothing. I really don't understand anything. Lisa was right. About what? Never mind. I closed my eyes to think it over. No, I can't go. I don't understand, don't know what to think, what to do. And since when did I stop worrying about my situation in this world or how to get back? Since when was the only thing I could think about Lena, or how others would look at me, or how my actions look from the other side? It's just stupid and it's not like me. In fact, it's inappropriate in this situation. In short, I didn't do anything and don't intend to justify things which I didn't do. There was no reply. Hey, did you hear me? I finally decided to see who was actually hiding behind a tree, but no one was there. So she left. I rushed over to Lena's boat, but she was already far away, almost near the pier. Whatever. I shouted and walked along the shore. I got back relatively quickly and without much trouble. However, my hands still ached terribly and my eyes were closing themselves. Probably such a physical and, more importantly, emotional load is too much for one person. I walked slowly toward the camp leader's cabin, staring down at my feet and thinking about nothing. Someone called out to me at the square. "Hey!" Elisa ran up to me. "Have you been to the island?" "Yes." To tell the truth, I didn't want to talk to her about anything, but I already didn't have the strength to lie to her. "And how'd it go?" "It doesn't matter. I'm very tired and I'm going to sleep." "Come on, tell me." Her face had such a nasty grimace that I shuddered with rage. "Why should you care?" "Well, it just..." she murmured in dismay. "Mind your own business!" I snapped and quickened my pace toward the cabins. Elisa did not try to stop me. Annoyingly, Olga Dmitrievna had not returned yet and I could not find my key. What if I lost it? The only thing I could do was wait. I plopped down into the deck chair and closed my eyes.